Our next assignment is going to be kind of a 3-value bird, 3 or 4 values that we have in here. Now, the bird in and of itself, it is on a gray background. We're not going to do a gray background. We're going to do a white background. And so, but the structures within the bird itself has about 4 different values. It has a dark, okay, a black sort of thing. You see that in the wings and some on the tail. It has a medium dark gray. See some on the tail. See a little bit in the wings there as well. And then it has a light gray. There's not as much of that. A lot of that is more in the background, but you do see just a little bit of the light gray in here, in this section, right? There's a little bit here in the wings, a little bit down here. Because it's the background color too, sometimes it blends in so you don't see it quite as much. And so that's kind of a little bit of a deal. Then the final is actually the white, okay, that you see in there. So there's those 4 different values we're going to be working on. Watercolor painting is a lot of times about the values, being able to represent those values accurately. And we do that by, a lot of times it's just the thickness of the paint. You know, if there's more pigment in there, it's going to be darker. You can do it, accomplish that through either overlapping or just your initial applications as you go into that. But so this is what we're going to do. And I wanted to show you a little bit about the drawing we want to do. We're going to want to fill this paper a little bit with what it is. But the preliminary steps I want to do for this drawing is kind of break it down into some things that are a little bit more easy. A lot of times if you start drawing like just the outside of these things and trying to draw the whole thing, it gets really complicated and really difficult. And so a lot of times it's easy to break it down into smaller bits as you, and then draw those smaller bits or easier bits and then finish it out that way. So here's for example. So if I just drew a line that kind of went across top, hold on, it's not a very dark pencil. That looks like a dark pencil. And so if I drew a line across here like this, and then I took from that same thing here, and I drew a diagonal down here like that, and then I connected that up to this thing. And so what I've done is I've created a triangle, right? And so I haven't drawn the bird yet, I've just created a triangle. And the bird kind of fits neatly within that triangle. There's a few places it sticks out a little bit, but for the most part it's just a triangle. So instead of trying to draw the bird, I want you to draw that triangle. And you can draw on your own paper too, for this sort of a thing that you're working on. And so that's what I need to do. And so I'm going to lightly draw on this paper. Now it fills a lot of the page, and so I'm going to go, there's the top of my triangle from about here to about here. Now I'm going to go just a little darker than what I want to, because eventually I have to erase that line on those. And so there's my horizontal line at the top, doom, 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 doom. And then so now I just need to make sure that I'm making a line that is kind of going the same direction. So you notice that this one has a diagonal that goes this way. So if I draw a line down like this that's somewhat parallel to it, that's probably going to be pretty good. And then if I come over here and draw one like that, that's probably going to be pretty accurate too. And so now that I've drawn this triangle, let me darken it in just a little bit so you can see. Triangles are easier to draw. And so I got it. And then I know the bird is going to go here, so I don't have to worry about going outside those lines on those. And so that's kind of a cool deal. Let's do something else here. Let's do this. Let's take the angle of the top of this wing and just draw it like this, and the angle of the top of this wing, and kind of do that. You'll notice it creates a triangle. Well, let's try and draw that triangle. And so if I start here about, it's not at the edge, is it? It's not at the corner as we start to draw it. It's in a little bit. So in a little bit here, and if I draw this line here parallel, lightly is best. And then this one is in a little bit, I'm going to guess about right here. And I try to draw this line parallel. And I got it right there. And then this part here, remember I told you I can do some erasing? This line right here, I don't really need that anymore, do I? I can just take that right on out. And it's not quite looking like the bird yet, but that's still pretty cool. Let's continue with the wing area here. I'm going to draw, there's another triangle here. I seem to be in the triangle mode here quite a bit. And so in looking at that triangle, and I can look at this overall shape here too, and try and draw that. So I'm guessing, I'm looking at this distance compared to this distance. I'm thinking maybe here, and this line kind of goes that direction. And then this one is maybe here, like that. And then bring back the eraser, and I don't need that part up here anymore. And so now it's starting to take on some of the characteristics of that bird anyway. And so that's kind of a cool deal. Let's draw another shape here. I'm gonna draw this shape. This is not a triangle finally, okay, but it is kind of an interesting shape. It's a four-sided shape. Notice the beak comes out over it. That's okay. I'm not worried about that. Tail stuck out over there too. And so I'm going to come down here and I'm kind of guess where my beginning spot is, and let's just guess about right here on that. So what I can do is I can go this distance to this distance. That's about right in the middle, isn't it? So if I knew where this one was down here anyway, I'm just going to guess about right here. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to draw this line parallel in a little deeper, and then I'm going to draw this part down. It's interesting, it's almost the same direction as that, not quite though. And this will line up, if I drew this line right here, that kind of lines up right with that. So I know that it goes about right there. And then this part comes out to the side like this. And let's warp out that eraser again. Still don't have all the details of the bird though, right? And that's important to know. Since I got that part down here, let's go back in and let's do the same thing over here on this side. I'm going to draw that here, and then I'm going to draw this one down to the tail feather. Okay, once again a little four-sided shape that we have going like that. And so this one I'm just going to start up here, and I got to draw this line parallel going that way, and so from here it looks like it needs to go about like this. I got to get behind it a little bit like that. And then I'm looking at here, maybe this part here out there. That looks pretty good. And then this part doesn't come down quite straight. It angles in a little bit, and it goes down almost the same height of this thing here. And when it gets down that low, it kind of goes off to the side like that. Let's break out that eraser again. Now this doesn't have to be exact. We're trying to get close. We're just trying to get close on those. Now I suppose if you like drawing half circles, you could come down here like this. This part right here is the next thing I want to draw. I'm going to draw his tail feathers because it's rounded. I already got the top of it kind of here, right? These are coming up like that. Anyway, the tail feathers themselves, this actually sticks out farther, huh? Right here. This is sticking out a little bit farther, so I'm going to take that out a little bit. And then I'm just going to make an upside down fan. It kind of slants this way first, almost all the way back here, and then curves up like that. Now I can take off these lines down here. That's pretty cool. And then remember this part, I'm going to draw this little section here next. I'm going to make a line go in. This is going to be just another triangle. Just another triangle. And so this little triangle right here comes in this way a little bit. And then this little triangle comes in about like this. So now when we look at it, we actually have a pretty good outline of the bird itself. Granted, we're missing a little bit of details, like we know that his head kind of was sticking out here a little bit. Here's his beak, huh? The beak had a little bit of a curve, And then the top of the head had a little bit of a curve to it as well, like that. And then this part was the beak, like that. We can take his head back up and over here towards this little part. Not like a real big dark mark right there. That's pretty cool. And this was kind of there. It was kind of a little circular there coming up here, and then this had a little bit of an arc to it. Now we're just making some minor adjustments on these ones. This was pretty straight, but this top part up here was a little rounded, huh? So if I just round that off a little bit like that, that'd be pretty cool. And then let's do this. This kind of came up and it dropped down below our line a little bit, and then it headed back up towards right there, right? Kind of came out like that. So I didn't need that part. This part, when this came up here, this was kind of a little more rounded up here too, a little bit curved, and then this kind of counter curved back the other way, so kind of a little S curve thing going. And this was one of the feathers, kind of like this part, huh? And there was more than one. This is kind of where that one was, huh? And there was 3 of them. Three main feathers up there. There was another little one right here. And then one kind of right here. I'm just drawing the ends of the feathers. There's an open area here and a little bit of an end of a feather. There's like 3 or 4 little ends of feathers here that are a little half circly sort of things. And then I can come and I can take off those initial guidelines that I had, huh? And it's, you know, it sure is a lot easier just trying to form things a little bit, you know. Like I can put this little feather part here, and then there's another little wing part here. Three little feather pieces here. Another one is further back here. And they just keep on kind of rotating around. Now the wings themselves, it looks to me like they kind of go to the points right here, right? And so the wings here, after they start curving this way, they start kind of going up towards that part. And then these parts of the wings are just kind of feathery portions going back into here. Then I can erase some of these extra straight lines that I had. Now I didn't copy that exact. I was just kind of making it up a little bit as I went along. But you can come down here and say, well, this comes up. This is a circle. This is another circle piece. This is coming down a little straighter. A little in and out sort of a thing like that. Then this comes up a little straighter, ducks down. There's a little scallop there. There's a little scallop there. So you can be, the thing is, you can be as accurate as you want to be. That's kind of the deal. To make those wingy thingies happening. Okay, let's get his body here. I'm going to come back over here where his wing is. The interesting thing is his body kind of follows that down the straight line from there. So as we're coming down here with the wing like that, his body comes out a little bit, but then it kind of drops down like this where his leg is, right? And so that's kind of one leg, but then his leg bends forward a little. And it comes like this. This is the white part, right? And then he has the claws that are kind of sticking out this way. and then they curve back. This one sticks out the bottom this way. And they're back up and in. This is where the claw part comes out, huh? And there's another little sticky outy one right here. So that kind of has his claw going. It's a little thick. Now he has the underside of his body. There's a little area right here, huh? It's kind of black. Then his other leg starts coming down this way, and then goes down straight. So these are his two upper leg pieces, right? That one and then this one. Then this claw comes down this way, and it does the same kind of thing here. You don't see it as much because there's a lot of the black of the tail feathers are there. But this curves down and in. This comes out back. Sticks out a little bit. You see a little bit of the talon right here, huh? Maybe a little bit of the talon right here. And then there's probably another little part like that back over here. And so our bird is starting to take shape, I guess. Let's go ahead and draw some of these tail feather things, the outside portion here. There's a little feather piece here. There's a few more little feather pieces. And they're all kind of going back up into the body. And that just gives us more of a scalloped edge. I would pick a center point like right in here where everything intersects, and that's where things are going to be going back. And so I've created a pretty good outline drawing of my bird by first starting out with some basic shapes. Remember, we started out with triangles, then we gradually made more triangles, and then we made more triangles. Then we started slicing and cutting pieces off, and to where now we have a pretty good outline drawing of the bird and the structures that are some of the interior structures too. You can come back in if you drew really, really hard. You can come back in and erase some of that out a little bit so that you don't have those hard lines in there. Those are kind of hard to paint over. And so that's kind of step number one of getting into the outline drawing. Now you can, and I probably will, before I finish this drawing, I want to kind of identify where some of the areas are. And so I'm just going to kind of highlight, draw in where some of these black areas are. There's one right here, right? And then there's another little black area right in here. And then this one has a black area on it as well. Now black we're going to paint last, but we can at least account for where it is. And you can draw those little value sections in your outline drawing. There is a little bit of a white streaky thing that kind of comes down almost to his head here in the wing. This is a white area, so this is a no paint zone right here. Within the wing area here, there's another little bit of an area that comes down. It's a pretty big one. This one kind of brings down all the way around here, so it kind of highlights his chest a little bit, and his beak kind of comes up here, and then there's some darker areas in through here. And so what you can do is you can start to draw in the different value areas for your bird. So you have like there's a white spot right here. right? This is the beak, but then the head has a white spot that kind of comes up like this. So this is that white spot. And then this is the dark spot right here. There's a little bit of a gray spot right here. And when you're drawing things, it's helpful to look at your drawing reference and look back at here and look at here, then look at here. I'm going to kind of map this in just a little bit. Now, it's not absolutely necessary to draw all these little parts in here. You can. A lot of times people find that very, very helpful for doing that sort of a thing. That way they know exactly where to do the paint. It's like a big coloring book, right? You can just kind of paint by numbers. Color in the spaces. Coloring is good. We like color. Over here, looks to me like there's a little bit of a no paint zone white area here. So this is kind of a white area, and then there's gray and white within this area here. There's some little black areas here, little line things there. And there's little gray pieces in here. So these are the little gray dots right in here. Okay, so I've got my drawing of the bird. Pretty detailed, actually. You don't necessarily have to draw that detailed. You just kind of draw what you need to make sure you can get it going there. I figured I'd draw a little bit more. That way it gives you guys time to create the drawings yourself with those before we actually jump into things. We are going to start with the lightest value first. So the tendency or the thing is we want to draw those black ones in, but we can't. We got to save the black stuff for the last. That is the very last layer we're going to do. So let's go ahead and finish up the drawing, and then we can get started in just a moment.